Well, one round down, we're now into the second one. Race one of the GT Cup Europe Championship takes us to Spa-Francorchamps here for round two of the 2025 season. 19 turns in total, 9 to the right, 10 to the left for this 7.004 kilometre circuit. 50 minutes of racing with a driver change window halfway through. Home, of course, to the Formula One Belgian Grand Prix. We're now going to be setting, well, 27 GT Cup car machinery through the Ardennes forests with 15-degree air temperature, 45% humidity. The track certainly stabilising in terms of temperature. We're now starting to hit the heights of where we were in free practice in terms of conditions, and it's not deterring the fans at all one bit. They're all packing the grandstands and, of course, the roof here in the main centre here at Spa-Francorchamps. We're looking forward to this one. Now, with all the cars looking to move their way onto their grid positions, their teams, they're ready to accept them. My name is, of course, George Morgan, your commentator for this one. Joining me once again here at Spa, the one, the only, Ewan Dunlop.
You're very generous with these introductions, George. Sun is
there can
shining.
only be one Ewan Dunlop.
It is. There might only be one, actually, just through pure statistics. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day here at Spa, beautiful afternoon. Very lucky to get here yesterday, where it was absolutely blazing hot. Currently 15.8 degrees outside, to be exact. The track is red hot at 32 degrees. No rain predicted whatsoever, but hey, this is Spa, never say never, but it looks very unlikely. Cars making their way round to the grid. A few options of tyres being pulled out to the side. This is surely a slick race this afternoon. Plenty going on in the championship after our first two rounds at Portimao. Ludovico Longini and Pietro Armani leading in the car number 22. That is the ZRS Motorsport Porsche 992. Luca Franco and Ian Rodriguez, the Italian and the Argentinian. Second place, just two behind. They took win number one from the first round a couple of weekends ago in Portugal. However, the top two cars in the championship qualify outside the top 8 for race number one here at Spa. So that gives an opportunity for Martins and Sveps, third in the championship and qualifying third as well. They're going to start a couple of rows further up the grid than their early title contenders.
Well, all eyes on this particular car as well, the one that starts on pole position, Paul Meyer, who was in this position as well back at Portimao, where they looked like they were going to be on the cusp of taking an astonishing overall victory, with Laura van den Hengel at the wheel for the second stint. Brought it home. They came to the final corner at Portimao, and Laura van den Hengel narrowly missing out on achieving race win overall success, I should say. But that did not deter her. It was indeed a Pro-Am victory for Paul Meyer and Laura van den Hengel, but just losing out narrowly to Ian Rodriguez and Luca Franca for Fame's team, who had a little bit of drama in qualifying, it is fair to say. Of course, Luca Franca fortunately pivoting his car, and it looked like, just from the naked eye, that there might have been a little bit of damage to that front right hand wheel arch. It didn't look particularly happy. He pretty much went sideways, flat spotting the rubber on the run up through Arouge and Raidillon. But it doesn't look like it's caused him too many problems, because he was improving through the course of qualifying despite that moment. And obviously despite those tyres probably feeling a little bit worse for wear. But at the moment, Paul Meyer sat on the very front of things. They've got another chance to make things happen again for the Burgers Motorsport, powered by HWM team. Lars Zanen will be joining them on the front row. Now, important to note, we do have 3 classes here this season. A little reminder to you all at home, it's no longer the class system where we have Pro-Am and just Am. We now have 3. Silver class, of course, debuting back at Portimao, and in terms of the overall, the silver class is the top honour. So therefore, Pro-Am still gets a Pro-Am win, Am still getting an Am win as well to boot. And I can tell you that Lars Zanen representing that silver class right at the highest point of order on the front row of the grid alongside Paul Meyer. Important run as well from Dieter Schwepp, still representing Am class, much like last year, pulling off some extraordinary results.
Yeah, looking forward to this one. Third round, or third race of the championship. Now, just noticed Tommy Pintos in the 69, the SMC Motorsport, put himself temporarily at a disadvantage. He pulled into the natural staggered starting grids and was then pushed forward alongside on row number 4. They are starting. A couple of cars still missing from the grid making their rain round, including one of our front row sitters. Now, yesterday, when it was extremely sunny and hot, the sun just gone in slightly now, there was a lot of shade, naturally, from the F1 grandstand on the western side of the start-finish straight here, which gave an advantage to those starting in the shade, because it's just a little bit cooler over there. But that is not going to be the case for this afternoon's race. Who are we still waiting for on the front? Ah, here we come. I was wondering where Mr. Meyer was, but he's just coming through now in the number 7.
Got a lovely shot on our
that is fantastic.
On our screen as the drone flies through down the start-finish. Down the start-finish line across the grid, and indeed he will take position on the front row in our pole position now. Obviously, you were quite right. The McLaren Artura getting a little bit, getting caught napping there. Tommy Pintos parking up in the grid spot as opposed to lining up alongside. Because remember, it's a rolling start scenario in GT Cup racing, and so therefore you tend to line up side by side along. On the same row, obviously directly as your opponent, who is meant to be on the same row as you. Here is our first fastest car, Paul Meyer, just being given a few words notice, obviously from those on the grid. We have, of course, got Lars Zanen on the front row as well, representing Silver Class. We'll have a great chance for a big result here as well. Very, very strong driver taking part in this series. Comes in after competing in the 24-hour series with a victory last year, and comes in with 1 win in Pro-Am last year with 6 podiums as well. In P3, we have Dieter Schweppes and Leandro Martins, the Brazilian. Leandro Martins will, of course, be watching on as he hopes Schweppes pulls the goods today in terms of the first stint. Cosimo Papi, we welcome him back here as well. 4th fastest here is where he starts in the number 23 car. Of course, that's the Ebby Motors lined up alongside Sebastian Fortuna, who raced in ELMS back in 2019 and Coppa Italia back in 2015. We did see Fabio Babini as well, and what hasn't he competed in? Of course, regular 24-hour Le Mans competitor. He has got Tommy Pintos for company as well, lining up on the 3rd row of the grid. And, of course, he's in the new, a new manufacturer joining this grid, the McLaren Artura as well. There is Antoine Berberek, who'll be looking for a very strong visit as well this time around. And then we've got Alex Ryman, a welcome return to the Estonian to the series, and he'll be donning Silver Class for the first time in this series. Of course, prior to this, Pro-Am was where he was situated. Ludovico Longoni for company inside the top 10 as well. But it's going to be a very thrilling start to this race. Obviously, plenty of opportunities for overtaking. We know what Spa's like. It produces magic, and that's what we've come to expect, especially at a track like this.
Well, we've seen plenty today throughout the entire schedule, and no less in qualifying 2. So I think you're absolutely right, George. The grid had just been cleared. We've heard the whistles. So everybody will make their way off the grid, other than the cars and the drivers. All teammates, all spare tyres, all mechanics, all marshals will depart. And we'll be left with 27 of the most beautiful cars you'll ever see.
Well, let's take you through the highlights of what happened back at Portimao. It was a great start for Paul Meyer and Burgers Motorsport by HWM. They got a great run right at the beginning of the race, but that wasn't the whole story either. We had the 91 of Luca Franca make its way also through the course of the field. Fames team had a brilliant start to their first round here in the GT Cup Europe. Unfortunately for Laura van den Hengel, despite leading a majority of the way after Paul Meyer's massive opening stint, they weren't able to clinch overall victory, but finished first in Pro-Am. It went the way of Rodriguez and Franca. They took their first win in the very first race of the championship. Very busy getaway as well in drama from the very get-go in race 2, where Laura van den Hengel, who was an innocent bystander, got caught heading through, crashing into the barrier. Quite the mixer, really, to get the race underway. But it all came down to this, with car 22 belonging to Ludovico Longoni and Pietro Armani knifing their way through the field, left, right and centre, trying to assail to higher-end positions. Dieter Schweppes and Leandro Martins were also extremely sharp right at the start of this race, but it did eventually fall the way of ZRS Motorsport, with Ludovico Longoni and Pietro Marmani sealing the deal. This is how the championship looks off the back of the opening round at Portimao. 25 points going the way of Longoni and Armani at the moment. They are currently 2 points clear of Luca Franca and Ian Rodriguez, with Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes in the AM class, but third overall, just ahead of Franvel Bugliotti. Well, it's race time now in the GT Cup Europe Championship as the safety car takes them around the Spa circuit. We'll run you through the starting grid. In the meantime, pole position goes the way of Paul Meyer for the second time this season. Lars Zanen in second place. Then in third, we have Dieter Schweppes lining up alongside Cosimo Papi, a full AM represented second row. In fifth place, we then have Fabio Babini with Tommy Pintos in the McLaren Artura in its first start in this season, with Antoine Burbrick Martini down in seventh place as well. Alex Ryman down in eighth. Ninth place for Ludovico Longoni lining up alongside Franvel Bugliotti in 10th. Then further down in 11th, we have Luca Maria Attianesi. And then in 12th, H. De Mello lines up in the Porsche 992 GT3 Cup car as well. Luca Franca, of course, race winner back in our first race at Portimao, lines up alongside Diego Nunez, who was in 14th, 7th row of the grid for those two, with Nicholas Salins in 15th place, 16th going to Rodrigue Gillian. And then down into 17th, we have Tommaso Lavati in the Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo, Giacomo Giobergia then in 18th place in the Porsche. Manuel Canizares, then further back then as well. We also have then Nicholas van Dierendonk, Camille Perrien representing the Romanian outfit R01 Racing, with Simone Patrinicola down in 22nd place. 23rd goes to Leon Reinbeek, with Davide Larini then lining up in 24th. Then down into 25th is Luciano Privatello. Then Stefano Zerbi lining up in 26th place on the 13th row. 14th row, and at the back of the grid is Luigi Peroni, who will line up in 27th spot. So now an important time as we take a look at the McLaren Artura of Tommy Pintos making its way around the middle into the latter sector. Of course, only a minute moment to heat up the tyres. Predictions, Ewan Dunlop.
Oh, don't you dare, George. I would, as a neutral, I would love to see Meyer and Van den Hengel take a win, just for the ages, and it will require another big lead from Meyer, I imagine. I think it was 15 seconds last time, and again we got to the penultimate corner painfully. I'm sure they want to forget it, but it was the penultimate corner. We want to see that drama again, but not a straight repeat. We've had some fantastic qualifying and races already this season. We're going to get more of the same. What the story's going to be, I'll tell you in about 50 minutes.
It was pure cinema right to the very end. Of course, it would go the way of Franca and Rodriguez to open up their account in the first race of the season. But anything can happen, of course, in this championship, as now the cars trundle their way down through towards the final chicane here at the bus stop, with the safety car taking them down. Eventually it will peel away and leave it to Paul Meyer and Lars Zanen in deciding who is going to get the best jump at the very start of this race. In behind them, they do, of course, have company from some AM contingents, with Dieter Schweppes and Cosimo Papi. Fabio Babini will be looking to work his way through the field as well, as now they start to peel away from the bus stop, and now up towards the line with all 5 lights. Oh, they go green in his pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 go. Great start for Paul Meyer as he now sprints away in the very front of the order. It looks like Lars Zanen got a little bit caught there, and now Dieter Schweppes is looking to take the place. Further back, Cosimo Papi coming into this. That's the gold Porsche, now making its way out of turn 1, and now they look to fly uphill, and a wonderful start for Dieter Schweppes, who now finds himself on the tail of Paul Meyer on the run up through towards Eau Rouge and Rally on the McLaren Artura. Also getting a great start. Tommy Pintos up into 4th as then they head up through Eau Rouge and Rally on. It's Paul Meyer. Burgers Motorsport with a perfect start. Let's outsource, they say. Lars Zanen in 2nd as well. Dieter Schweppes down in 3rd in the 911 Porsche as well, as they now sprint uphill. Lars Zanen now stripped back a few places now. He sits in 5th as they peel through Les Combes now for the first time. It looks like Alex Ryman got caught as well. He's gone off wide, but it's still Paul Meyer who leads the way here on lap 1.
Well, Burgers Motorsport, perfect start for them. Paul Meyer getting away, but following closely. What a perfect start for Dieter Sveps. Starting on the second row, took the inside line into La Source, got the job done, and they pulled out a couple of car lengths on the rest of the field. Cosimo Papi starting in third, that's where he is right now. Lots of Porsches, of course, towards the front. Take about half of this field on board with the number 22, Ludvico Angini in the Porsche 992. And there's a little bit of dust being picked up. We got used to that this week, and if you see dust at the far end there, do not worry. They're just putting half a wheel or so onto the gravel. It's been the story of the weekend thus far. Paul Meyer, perfect start and a purple sector naturally. We have had, of course, well, Papi started fourth and he's up to third place, so he's picked up a place as well. Unfortunately for Lars Zanen, starting on the front row, got overtaken at the very first corner, and a couple more to come. He's down to fifth place right now, halfway through the first lap.
Yeah, absolutely right. Franvel Bugliotti also trying to get past Burbrake Martini, who sits in 8th as well. Attianese also in the midst of all of this. In fact, he's stuck behind Attianese at this stance, or certainly at this position here with 47 and 57 to go. Paul Meyer, 6/10 to the good now at the moment, and the top two have absolutely cleared the rest of the group. It's 2.4. Absolutely astonishing with... Tommy Pinto also getting a really good start in the McLaren Artura, down in third place. Further back, we had a late move there as well. Lars Zanen has been fodder for every other car on this grid as well. Cosimo Papi really digging deep here, and sat in behind in fourth place, just behind the Artura as it stands. Fabio Babini has managed to launch his way higher, and he's actually got past, I think, Lars Zanen at this juncture as well. Sits in fifth place as now, once again, we see plenty of movements further back. This is the 22 that we're riding on board with, Ludovico Longoni. Luca Franca just in front of him at the moment. Remember, race winners back at Portimao as they fly uphill through Rouge and Radion. There is Tommy Pintos, there is Cosimo Papi as well in the golden Porsche, and now being met with Fabio Babini, who is just so quick in his own right, carries a huge weight of experience now as Meyer makes his way up through towards Les Combes. There is the ST1 Racing Porsche belonging to Alex Ryman, now looking to the inside now as they now go side by side in groups of two. There goes a little bit of a rear end loss there from Cosimo Papi as Fabio Babini looks to try and trample on the frail moment that he had. Now as they descend downhill, he goes immediately defensive to the inside as they hustle down through towards Rivage. Late on the brakes there for Fabio Babini as he looks to now lift away that fourth place and launch it into his own favour. Babini committed to the inside through Jackie X. It's Babini who moves into fourth now. Cosimo Papi dropping down into fifth.
And that little tussle's got the front three away. Tommy Pintos in the McLaren Altura in third by a couple of seconds. And Zanen up into sixth over Ryman. That's a switch in the silver class. But Paul Meyer leading the way in Dieter Sveps. They're getting away by a few seconds now, 2.3. And then to Pintos back to Papi, another 1.5, so things starting to break up slightly. We expected Paul Meyer to get away, but Dieter Sveps has gone away with him.
Yeah, it was actually, I was just saying, Ryman crept through past Zanen through into sixth place. Just hasn't been updated on our classification board just yet. But yeah, amazing stuff indeed. Babini now, as we now see the confirmations come through. Great move indeed from Babini coming through Jackie X. Never get tired of seeing moves like that made at that portion of circuit. But a very busy start to this race. And certainly if you're Lars Zanen, you're going to be feeling a little bit disappointed at the getaway you had. Starting on the front row, Ewan, and now down into seventh place.
Yeah, not fantastic, but he's got, 30 minutes of a stint left to sort of pull himself back towards the front. But again, those guys are just starting to edge away. They come past our commentary box now, and it is maybe a third of the length of the start finish. Oh, there's one in the wall. It's the 81. The 81. That is the Myrtle Motorsport Leon Reinbecke that goes. And is that going to be a fatal? There is a yellow flag and safety car deployed. No surprise about that whatsoever. Let's get that on a replay coming to you very shortly. No idea what happened there. Was running in, well, near the back of the grid. Here we go. Oh, dear. Big smash into the wall. Maybe get that one another angle, and that is going to be race over for one of the Myrtle Motorsport cars. Yeah,
it certainly will be. That front end clearly severing away off the front end of that Ferrari 488 Challenge. Of course, they coming in well stocked. Myrtle Motorsport have championed this series now over the last couple of years in terms of their appearances, and now also making their first appearance this season in the International GT Open, debuting back in our last round. Of course, Luca Ludwig taking the stance over that. And bear in mind, they've got Andrea Montemini in their corner this weekend as well in that very same championship. So a legend returns to the sport and supports the Mertel team. But back to the GT Cup Europe action. Safety car now out. Let's take a look at a replay from the start. Great getaway from Paul Meyer. Dieter Schweppes also getting the launch of his life as well. Lars Einen was just spotted right from the very get-go. And you see as well, Cosimo Papi coming into this as well in the golden Porsche. Unfortunately, of course, he would lose out later on to Fabio Babini. But a remarkable start indeed for Dieter Schweppes. And the 911 Porsche, despite being in AM class, staying with Paul Meyer in this opening stint. Just a remarkable start.
Really is, and this safety car, it's always a story. It's great for everybody that's leading the race. So Paul Meyer and Dieter Schweppes pulled out 2.4 seconds. That will now be, well, probably 0.2 seconds to the field, and they'll have to do all of that hard work again. It gives also a chance to Lars Einen, who has dropped to 7th place from 2nd. A bit of a retribution maybe coming up. I'm sure he's going to get like an absolute rocket when the safety car comes in. Rescue and medical are on track. It was at turn 15 this happened, so just around Campus Stavolo. So we might get another couple of laps under the safety car. The window for the changeover is between 29 and 21 minutes remaining. So 8 minutes for those handovers. You generally see the faster drivers stay out as long as you possibly humanly can and then hand over to their teammates. Of course, very, very tactical. Wherever your plans are, safety cars, it just throws everything in the air, doesn't it?
Certainly does. Obviously, still plenty to be decided, a long way to go. Driver change window opens up in 13 minutes and 25 or so. So it's going to be a juggling act as to when the drivers decide to come in and commit to the pit stop. If you're Paul Meyer, obviously, we'd expect him to come in latest of all.
As late as he humanly can, on the 2nd, potentially. Like we said last time, Portimao built up a lead of around about 15 seconds or so. It's a fantastic stint. But again, that's what you'd expect from a guy in his position in the Pro-Am class. You want your pros to do that for you. If you're any AM in the field going second, it's like, just you do whatever you possibly can, hand over the keys to me, how long as possibly I can. There is some debris being picked up on track. That looks like, oh, that's the side panel, isn't it?
Looks like it, just off the side of the Bertel Ferrari. I think that has obviously found itself into the barrier. Massive shunt, by the looks of it, coming through to the final sector. Very unfortunate for the Mertel team that they've got to deal with that, and obviously disappointment, I can imagine, for the team. Obviously, the 83 that came to a sudden stop, made up of the combination of Matteo Lovisi, Davide Larini. And we've got a reminder that Matteo Lovisi comes into this round of the championship having won this race last year in 2024, coming first back in race 2. Back then he was driving the Porsche alongside Federico Al Rifai. You were in the box with me for that one, Ewan.
What?
I mean, it was a stunning final lap because, of course, they were looking to take the race win home, and it actually ended up on the final 2 corners where Federico Al Rifai and Matteo Lovisi, it looked like they had gone as a pairing. It was Federico Al Rifai in that final stint. It left it very late coming into the bus stop chicane, but somehow, some way held on to it and took the race win. But it doesn't look like Lovisi's going to be on the end of a positive result here this time, with obviously his car falling foul with Davide Larini behind the wheel. And also we've got to remember that Davide Larini, of course, relative son as well of Nicola Larini, the former Formula 1 driver from the realms of the early 90s, very early 90s in the Formula 1 World Championship. So yeah, obviously a very desperate ending to this race for them.
So we are officially 11 minutes away from driver changeover, which means we're going to be under this safety car for at least another lap, because no indication of safety car coming in. So the likes of Paul Meyer are going to have around about 9 minutes. What's that? 4 laps to build up a lead potentially. Of course, they can go deeper into that window, so maybe up to a maximum of 6 laps off the track. 7 kilometres, 19 turns under the Ardennes sunshine.
Got to remember as well that there are handicaps to serve heading into the pit stop phase, because of course as expected in the pit stop, if you are successful in the prior round, you carry some of that success over in the form of a handicap that you have to undertake during the pit stop phase. So just to give you guys a rundown as to what it's going to be, Q1 Track Racing, Stina's Longin will be, and Nicholas Salins, of course, will be coming in and will serve an additional 5 seconds during the pit stop. And also for ZRS Motorsport, Pietro Armani and Ludovico Longoni, after the success last time with the victory, they all have to serve an additional 10 seconds during the pit stop phase. GDL Racing, Franvel Bugliotti, will also have to serve 10 seconds, as will GDL Racing's H. de Mello. He'll also be serving 10 seconds. And Elimar Motorsport, Diego Nunez, Peter Furter, they'll be serving 5 seconds. With Tsunami RT driver Davide Scanicchio, Fabio Babini, they will both be serving 10, as will Elimar Motorsport's Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes, who currently sits second in our screen. So yet again, more of an opportunity for Paul Meyer and Laura van den Hengel to plumb for a race win here this time around, with many of the big players from Portimao last time out being enforced with success handicaps, obviously after their successes back at Portimao.
Yeah, things falling towards in their favour for the Dutch pairing. 12 points from their second place finish in race 1 at Portimao. So they are 13 points behind championship leaders, Longini and Armani, who got the first and the third double podium first round of the year. Safety car coming in this lap. Okay, that means we will have 10 minutes until driver changeover opens, 16 minutes until it finishes. The big question, is that enough time for Paul Meyer and potentially Dieter Schweppes to go with him to build up big enough gaps?
There's the big question. Obviously, Paul Meyer, this is a terrible scenario for them to be in. Obviously, needed this stint ideally to be safety car free so that they could just career along with the race lead. It does mean that for the next 8 or so minutes plus, that Paul Meyer is going to have to be absolutely on it for the remainder of the stint. And it's probably a crumb of comfort knowing that they don't have that success handicap to serve, whereas Dieter Schweppes behind them certainly does. But then you've got to factor in the likes of Tommy Pintos as well in the 69 McLaren Artura. They're going to be right there with them. Remember, they're fighting for the Pro-Am win in their own right as well. So, you know, this isn't going to be as straightforward as it seems, but there is going to be an aura of mystery. The SMC Motorsport lineup do have Klaus Halsig lining up for the second part of the race stint. So we'll soon have to see how he's going to fare in this race. But then further back, you've got to ask questions. Obviously, Fabio Babini, Davide Scanicchio, they'll be serving 10 seconds as well. Cosimo Papi, obviously we'll see where he goes when his stint comes around. Alex Ryman also is going to be out there looking to, or certainly looking for a big result. But we'll have to wait and see as to whether he can achieve something like this. You never know, he could be a major player in the second stint as well.
Right, into the last few corners before that safety car peels away. Paul Meyer will likely start to back them up very shortly. Then it's a matter of when does he put his foot down. We've seen variations, some going very, very early, some leaving it very, very late. But as he got away from the line alongside earlier, Lars Zayden, he is the man. If there was anybody that's going to shoot off from the front, you'd put the wheel at his hands. They are keeping the wheels and tyres warm. The safety car has carried on at its natural speed to leave all those 27 cars behind. Paul Meyer will back them up. We can see out our window the safety car already coming through the chicane at the very end. So they have pulled back at least 300-400 metres. So, and is that foot down? Is he gone? Has Paul Meyer gone? Not quite yet. Just having a little look.
He's quickened up now, heading up through towards the bus stop chicane, needs to as well, and it's all about the escape coming out of turn 19 as well. 35 minutes or so to go, 6 minutes now until the driver change window opens, and they'll put pedal to the metal for the second time in this race now. And Paul Meyer getting off to a decent restart, but bringing along Dieter Schweppes for the ride as well as they venture through towards turn 1. A look down the inside from Alex Ryman as the EST1 Racing Porsche now looks to get a little closer again as they fly through turn 1 once more. There is Luca Franca inside the 91 Porsche as well, beckoning his way out of turn 1 in the silver class, and now heading uphill once again. It's Paul Meyer with the race lead. Dieter Schweppes looking to follow suit in behind, 0.3 of a second behind Paul Meyer as it stands, with Tommy Pintos there in third place as well, with Fabio Babini further back in fourth as well. Cosimo Papi also further back in the rear. We see some movements as well further back as they fly uphill through towards Lake Com, some side-by-sides as they now stretch through towards the next chicane, wheel to wheel now, and it's the 43 belonging to, of course, Luca Maria Antianesi, now being challenged this time by Diego Nunes on the run downhill through towards Rivage. Nunes unsuccessful on that occasion. Now he switches to the outside as they descend, coming down through towards Rivage. It is still Luca Maria Antianesi defending so strongly as we ride on board with Dieter Schweppes, chasing after the Burgers Motorsport Porsche of Paul Meyer at the very front.
So no real surprises. The front two have got away again. Really impressive Tommy Pintos in the McLaren, pushing away from plenty of the Porsches behind him. Again, just a little bit of clean air, not getting sort of caught up in any mischief whatsoever. But yeah, Paul Meyer away, Dieter Schweppes going with him. One goes wide round the star. Where are we? Coming around Stavolo Campus.
That was the 44 belonging to H. Mello, just getting caught a little bit wide there, and I think he has lost a place to Luca Franca. As a result, Franca moving up into 11th place. And now Franvel Bugliotti is looking to do the same. A little bit of dust kicked up there as well, as we now watch again as the 44 of H. Mello comes under close scrutiny, this time from Luca Franca, as they now come out of Corbeil Paul Frere once again and stream down through. There's Franvel Bugliotti. Nicholas Salins now on the tail of him right now as they come around Blanchimont, looking to the outside. Nicholas Salins was the representing that Belgian lineup with, of course, Stinas Longin also alongside him as well. They represented together in the passes. Now another launch up the inside, committed to the curves as well from the 43. That is, of course, as they fly out Luca Maria Antianesi, who has got still Nunes for company as well. They've got Antoine Berberic just in front of them, as well as they fly down through towards turn one. Yet again, there's Antianesi once more, once again meeting the number one of Antoine Berberic. Berberic Martini holding on firm, but here comes Nunes now to his outside as they come up through towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Who's going to win this battle? Side by side, coming up through towards this slalom, but an uphill slalom, and it's still Antianesi hanging on to that 9th place. Diego Nunes now forced to renege, and now they're being met this time by Luca Franca, who's going to make it a 3-car affair on the run up through towards Lake Com. Another look this time from Alex Ryman as he looks to dodge and weave past the 23 of Cosimo Papi as they stream through in towards Melmedi. Cosimo Papi stays where he is, occupies that place, but Luca Franca has managed to bustle ahead of Diego Nunes and now sits in 10th.
Well, what an incredible half a lap there. We did have the car number 44 spin at the club chicane. There was a yellow flag. It's gone now. I was worried that was going to be a safety car to bring things back into this, but he has got going. The 44 is the GGL Racing H. Mello. But back to the very, very front, or the chasing pack, let's call it, the 23. Well, still ahead. 1.4 is Meyer and Schweppes, then to Pintos, Babini. We know he's having an incredibly busy day. But Papi, though, leading this little trail of 3 over Reinemann and Zanin.
And Reimer looking oh so fierce as well, running on board with 2nd place Dieter Schweppes at the moment. Coming through Campus and Stavolo, you can just see there the Burgers Motorsport car just in front, of course powered by HDM. Now this was the moment where the 44 spun. He got tagged by the 77, I think that's the 77, no, sorry, it's the 11, I think, of Nicholas Salins, just coming through the bus stop chicane. So getting caught, unfortunately, by him, and therefore spinning him round, just coming into the bus stop chicane. Now once again we visit, this time on the next lap, and it's Paul Meyer still with Dieter Schweppes company. Now these two are clear by 2.5 seconds. Now as far as Paul Meyer's concerned, this is not yet enough. They need more at the moment. The driver change window opens up in just over 1 minute and 10's time, so we'd expect the drivers to start coming in the next lap. As soon as they've completed this one, incidentally, because of course remember this is a 2 minute and 21 in accordance to our best times that we've seen at the highest order. That is the length of the lap right now. Luca Franca looking to the outside again, this time on Nunes in the 56. Diego Nunes holding on to 11th, and indeed has risen to P10 in fact, because now it's Franca who sat down in P11 for now, flying up through Eau Rouge and Radion again. Well, Franca returned the serve in a bid to take the position back away. There's Antoine Berberic. Martini as they climb uphill. And as they sweep through towards the Lecom section, here comes Franca now, and look at Diego Nunes with that front bonnet just flapping around on the front end. Antoine Berberic-Martini holding firm. Franca now perhaps spying an opportunity to make the move. He's going to try Diego Nunes this time up the inside of Antoine Berberic-Martini. Was unsuccessful on that occasion, but might yet. Sends an overtake coming down the inside, does not manage to get Berberic-Martini, but Luca Franca then becomes the hunter. Coming through towards Rivage, was unable to get the move done, but somehow, someway, Antoine Berberic-Martini holding on to his place in 9th at the moment.
That is incredible. 4 cars, 2 Ferraris, 2 Porsches racing for 9th position. The change window is open. Get ready to see some dives into the pits. You will see the likes of Paul Meyer continuing for at least 2, maybe 3 more laps until that change happens. They've built up a lead. It's up to 3 seconds now. It's not the number they'd wanted, but it's getting slightly bigger and bigger. Right, back to this chase of 4, 5 in this pack now.
Yeah, and also we're seeing further back Patrinicola coming into this fight too. Currently sat P12 at the moment, but on the tail of Luca Franca, and becomes part of this fight that is being essentially corked up at the moment by Antoine Berberic-Martini, who's sat in 9th at the moment. The gap between himself and Luca Maria Attianesi stands at 2.7 seconds. So everyone's really queuing up for a pop at this Ferrari at the moment as they hustle down through towards the bus stop chicane. Big opportunity here for Diego Nunes to break the deadlock. Unable to do so, Luca Franca looking to his outside. It really is going to be a balance or a battle of risk and reward at this very late stage. We've got a couple of cars coming into the pitch. Luigi Peroni is in, so is H. De Mello. As it stands, it's wheel-to-wheel between Luca Franca as well as down the inside Patrinicola, who goes in very late. Contact through turn 1, and he's around at La Source. Patrinicola, Simone Patrinicola in car 80. In 12th place as it was, as we see a thoroughfare of cars make their way into the pits. Remember, we are using the old pit lane here this weekend. More and more cars coming in. Alex Ryman, Lars Zanen, they're all coming in. Luca Franca also coming in. Rodriguez will take the helm over him this time. Franvel Bugliotti as well, and Ludovico Longoni, who'll be swapping in for Pietro Armani, who is just so quick as well. Nicholas Salins, Stinas Longin will be coming in for him, and Manuel Canizares also coming into the pits as well. But let's take a look at this moment again. This is Simone Patrinicola, late on the brakes in car number 80. Remember, he's got Luca De Marchi swapping in for him in this race, but just making some major contact, and he came off second best in that one. But a very close moment. Very
unlucky just to go up against the wall as well. He had to wait to reverse to get away. He couldn't just go forward. So that cost him another 5 or 6 seconds at least until the track was clear, and he could just do 2 meters in reverse and get going again. On board with Dieter Sveps, who is one of the ones that has not come into the pits. We anticipated that, the 911. Still chasing the tail of Paul Meyer. They will leave this until, when you see maybe 22 minutes on the clock, that's when you'll see them dive in. They have built this up to what we're looking at. They really need some maybe 10, 12 seconds or so. And it's very hard to tell. Over the next 10 minutes, very hard to tell until everybody's back out on track where the dust has settled. But those 2 guys flying at the front still.
The great thing about this, though, is, well, certainly about the recent laps they have posted, is that Paul Meyer and Dieter Schweppes are both a second faster. There was only 4 thousandths between them over the last lap, but they're both a second faster a lap than Fabio Babini at the moment, which is quite an achievement, because we know how great Fabio Babini is. Of course, as Paul Meyer now makes his way down through towards turn 1, registers the fastest lap of the race. This is how much he's pushing now. Purple over the last lap. We'll see where Babini stacks. His last lap was a 21.7, so that's better than his last lap. So there was only 5/10 improvement from Paul Meyer against Fabio Babini over the last lap. So that gap only springs out to 6 seconds. At this rate, it's going to be tricky for Paul Meyer and Laura van den Hengel to make this work. But the one saving grace they do have, as opposed to Portimao, is that they have many of their competitors facing, of course, the extended period in the pits, of course, with the success handicap. In comes Pintos now, Tommy Pintos coming in for a pit stop in the 69 McLaren Artura for its first pit stop of this championship, and immediately jumping into the car as we get confirmation of Paul Meyer's fastest lap of a 1:21.275, and there is our race leader right now. Attianesi moves into 4th fastest. There is the Belgian car, the Belgian contender. Of course, representing with the Lamborghini Super Trofeo machinery this weekend. And Rodri Gillian inside that car for the Ice Pole Racing Team 99 CMR. As they now descend downhill, this is the battle between Dieter Schweppes and Paul Meyer. You see that wheel play there from Schweppes as he looks to try and maintain the grip out on track. Very tricky in these Porsches, but Dieter Schweppes has become very well accustomed to this, especially after with what they've achieved over the course of last season and of course this year. No strangers to race victories or high-level finishes, and have done very, very well as well in terms of the Winter Series in preparation of the brand new GT Cup Europe Championship season. Out onto the track though comes car number 1, Antoine Berberic-Martini, getting a nice early jump, and now returns out on track. Now we await to see the response that Paul Meyer puts in. Now it's 2 minutes and 30 or so to go until the driver change window shuts. Remember, there is over 2 minutes 21 a lap. When does he decide to come in? That is going to be key. He might have to come in this lap.
By my quick mathematics, it's got to be this time round, surely, because he won't get round again. It's when you cross the line to enter that pit. So get ready. We think to see Paul Meyer and Dieter Schweppes jump into the pits. They'll go round La Source and then take a sharp right. If we're correct, yes, they do. Oh, does Dieter Schweppes? Oh, I thought he carried on for a second.
Was playing dummy almost, I think, at that moment in time. But both cars come in and just look how late on the brakes he certainly was. Oh my goodness me. Very committed to that brake pedal was Dieter Schweppes, not wanting to miss a single yard. Now comes the crucial driver change period now. In that first sector, fastest for Dieter Schweppes on the in-lap. So really, really strong as now Paul Meyer steps into his grid spot. There is Laura van den Hengel looking set to jump straight back in. There we have as well Dieter Schweppes. He'll be coming out. Leandro Martins now stepping into the car. A very formidable pairing, it has to be said, and I'm sure looking for a major result in AM class this time around.
However, with that 10-second penalty to sit out, that'll be a painful 10 seconds. They will see Laura van den Hengel sprint off into the distance. And hopefully for her, for them and their team, retribution for the instance. Oh, picking up dust, Tommy Pinto's teammate in the 69. That is, of course, in the car now, Klaus Halsig, the Dutch one, in the McLaren Altura. Just getting to grips on his first opening lap.
Yeah, of course, now he's looking to jump Paul Meyer in this next stop phase, because, of course, they've already come in and served their stop. And out on track at the moment. Of course, as we watch them make their way around, they're going to be looking for a big run to bring an end to this current lap. As now exiting the pits comes the car belonging to Leandro Martins. So a decent escape there. Laura van den Hengel's already gone as well. So as it stands, I would imagine Laura van den Hengel's already gone anyway. I haven't seen an update. Yes, she has. Yes, she is. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't seen it update anywhere else, but I would imagine Laura van den Hengel has managed to hold on to this race lead, and I think she has. They cross up the timing loop, but we'll soon find out. More and more of them have still got to cross, but yes, it looks like Laura van den Hengel is our race leader. So if they've done enough to still maintain the race lead, at least for now, Davide Scanicchio, Fabio Babini coming close here with the 43 Porsche as well as it stands. I should say Riccardo Romignoli in the 43 at the moment, just in behind Davide Scanicchio. A close moment coming in towards Les Combes, but the driver change window has come to an end. The final changes have been completed. It is Laura van den Hengel, your race leader, as it stands after 10 laps have been completed, and Martins, after that 10-second success handicap, now is 8.7 seconds behind van den Hengel in second place.
It is going to be a nervous watch in the garage of van den Hengel's teammates and mechanics and team owners. They have got 20 minutes to endure in front of the screens. Can she hang on this time? 8.7s back, the 911. Dieter Schweppes handing over to Leandro Martins, the Brazilian. What can he do? Can he catch? He is on the hunt. Oh, big move round the outside. Great move through by the 55. That is the SP Racing team.
Yeah, Eugenio Pisani, of course, now finding his way through the field, obviously looking to try and jump Florentin Sescu over his position, and of course further up then Klaus Halsig, also in his own car as well, but it's the immediate jump was on the R01 Porsche, the R01 Racing Romanian outfit that has now been certainly exercised here by what looks to be Eugenio Pisani, who also in the process jumped Klaus Halsig in his first start in a GT Cup Europe race. Up the inside now, the 53, belonging to Giancarlo Fernandez on Leandro Martins, and jumps into second. Great move by Giancarlo Fernandez, and now needs to give chase after Laura van den Hengel.
Now, the gap has grown from 8.3 to 9 because of that little tussle. That is exactly what Van der Hengel needs. Those behind her fighting so she can just move and get away. That's perfect.
It is absolutely perfect. Giancarlo Fernandez now in the seat, will need to dig very deep. He's got clean air in front of him. That is the one saving grace that he does have. Now, it's important to note that Lars Zanen was part of the first stint. Remember, he lost all those places at the very start of the race. Well, during the pit stop, they've managed to wrestle a lot of that time back. Now, obviously, with Giancarlo Fernandez at the wheel, remember, they did not have to serve any success handicap leading through to this particular race. So through the process of other cars having to serve their handicaps, it's allowed them to recover the places that they have lost. They can now focus on what's in front of them, and that's Laura van den Hengel over that race lead. The car number 7 for Burgers Motorsport currently sat on top by 8.6 seconds. So that time gap that was 9 seconds has immediately come back down, as now a drive-through has been issued to car number 11. Now that is, of course, the Q1 track racing of Stina Slongin and Nicolas Salins. Remember, they did cause that stir to the 44, I believe, of H. de Mello. They've been told that they've got to serve a drive-through penalty.
That is pretty painful. Now, there's, of course, 2 races going on here. At the top here, Laura van den Hengel in the Pro-Am category. They are currently 5th in the championship.
Oh. Here comes Alex Ryman. Look up the inside this time on Leandro Martins, as wheel to wheel they go. Coming through Campus and Stavolo, coming out of the Stavolo section now. Ryman with the Tiger line, and coming through Corbeil Paul Frere. It's the EST1 Racing Porsche. Now up into the podium places, we welcome back Alex Ryman, the Estonian, returning to the GT Cup Europe Series and here at Spa as well. And now stands tall on an overall podium as Nathan Brauns jumps Peter Furter for that what looks to be that 9th place. Braun's actually jumping into 9th ahead of Peter Furter.
Just come back to if things stand like this with Scanicia and Babini in 5th overall, 2nd in Pro-Am. If Laura van den Hengel and Paul Meyer take the win, they'd move to within 1 point in the Pro-Am Championship. So this is not just about finishing first on track, it's finishing first in class as well.
Certainly is. At the moment, at the very top of the moment, Pro-Am victory could be on their way. This is a side-by-side as well between what look to be Leandro Martins, just coming close with Giancarlo Fernandez. Of course, Lars Zanen is in the seat that currently sits in P2 as it stands, but obviously Giancarlo, well, did sit in the seat, but now it's Giancarlo Fernandez at the wheel. This was the move from Alex Ryman, tucking the car nicely to the inside through Campus and Stavolo, and there was nothing Leandro Martins could really do about that. The Estonian managing to find the avenue for the overtake and straight through into that P3 position. Great move from Ryman.
We are down to 6.9 seconds. 2 screens to look at. So that is over the first 5 minutes, 3 seconds have come down. If it keeps at this rate with about 2 laps to go, Fernandez could be on the tail, quite literally, of Van den Hengel. Ryman another 3.2 back.
And we've got a blue flag situation here with Gianluca Giorgi, who is currently sat in front of Giancarlo Fernandez, who is trying to chase after this race win, after this race lead, and unfortunately he's got a car that is currently cemented towards the back in 23rd place, right in front of him here. Essentially a barrier here, and he keeps flashing the lights in order to ask to be let past. Now he jumps through, coming through the Lafanier chicane, and that is absolutely necessary because he needs to try and close down this 6.9 second gap between himself and Laura van den Hengel at this moment in time. Over the last lap, the differences between them sat at 1.8 seconds. He was 1.8 seconds a lap faster, was Giancarlo Fernandez over the last lap. So putting that together, it kind of looks like that it could yet be over the next we could see it happen in the next 7 laps or so.
And despite the traffic, still picked up 0.4 of a second on your leader. There she is in the Berger Motorsport, coming into the club chicane one more time towards the start-finish line. And she's probably got another 6 laps to enjoy. You will see, there he goes, Fernandez coming through in the background. What is the difference gonna be this time? It's looking very close, and looking ominous.
It's a very similar picture to that was painted where Fame's team had to close down on Laura van den Hengel towards the very end of our Portimao race, and eventually it was the pairing of Rodriguez and Luca Franca that came out on top, but it took an effort coming into the very final corner on that final lap to deter Van den Hengel from winning the overall race. Of course, they did go on to take the Pro-Am victory, but Van den Hengel wants the overall race win. That's exactly what she's gunning for. That's what she wanted. There's 6.4 between them at this moment in time, but we are now into the final 14 minutes of asking. Approximately 6 to 7 laps of magic still to come, and Goncalo Fernandez is digging oh so deep to rein in that lap deficit. It's 5.8 at the moment now between them as he now exits out of Les Combes through the Malmedy section, heading down in towards Rivage. Is Porsche digging deep? Goncalo Fernandez comes here with a wealth of his own experience here in this championship and looking to apply it to his very best here this time. Supercars Endurance Series in 2024, finishing second in CPV, as now we see it coming together as well further back in with that 27 Lamborghini Huracan belonging to Rodrigue Gillian, who's looking to try and, well, he's getting a bit feisty here with Piccioli and also Franvel Bugliotti as well, who is right up close and personal in behind the Lamborghini that currently sits in that position, the Lamborghini Huracan ST Evo 2, and that's a 56, and that belongs to Peter Furter for LMR Motorsport, and they were occupying a place that was very much outside that top 10, but have now since dropped down the order, 16th place, but they'll drop down a sea of places now. They're off the track, and therefore it could be their day done.
4.4 seconds is the update. And then 4.3 to Ryman, both in the silver class. The 911, as we know, of Leandro Martins and Dieter Schweppes leading the AM class right now, fairly comfortably, 10 seconds ahead of their competitors in the 57, the Q1 track racing, Van der Donk and Braun. So AM looks comfortable right now for Martins. Of course, they want a podium overall. A little bit of a gap to bridge right now. 4.5, do you know what? This isn't looking too bad.
It's looking like it's going to go right down to the wire. 12 minutes, of course, to go. We take a look at the lap times over the last lap. It was a 2-minute 24.712 for Laura Van den Hengel, 2:22.788 on part of Goncalo Fernandez. That is 2 seconds a lap difference, folks at home, from Goncalo Fernandez. He's got plenty of pace, as does this man, Alex Ryman, who's looking to try and get past lap traffic as well, bursting past Gianluca Giorgi, who is currently sitting in 23rd place, wheel-to-wheel between those two. Alex Ryman, by rights of blue flag conditions, should get this position done. Obviously, just looking to clear some of that aero so he can try and gain on the back of Goncalo Fernandez. 5.2 seconds between himself and Fernandez over the last lap. Ryman, though, wasn't quite as fast as Fernandez. Fernandez, the only one in the top 3 lapping in 2:22s.
We are down to 4.1. It's getting tighter and tighter. All of a sudden, Van der Hengel's mirrors, all 3 of them, are going to be absolutely full of Fernandez, who is currently lying, of course, in second place. Those 2 are away now, 5 seconds back to the rest of the field. 11 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap if necessary as they cross the line. Well, I don't want to make any predictions at all, but as you've said several times throughout this race, cinematic finish coming up again in the GT Cup.
Very similar to Portimao indeed. There's another look here from Franvel Bugliotti, who is hunting all over the back of Rodrigue Gillian. We also welcome back Fernando Navarrete to the series as well for Mertel Motorsport, back in Ferrari machinery this time. And chasing down Anton Berberic Martini, sits down in 10th place and 5.3 away from Romagnoli in 9th. So this very much a cork in the bottle situation again here. That is going to be over that top 10, as in who's going to jump into that final top 10 place. At the moment, it's being honed by Berberic Martini as it stands. It's 3.4 is now into the gravel goes Franvel Bugliotti. That's not ideal at all. Just kicking up some of those stones onto the circuit. As now we move back to the front end, and there is Goncalo Fernandez over the last lap. He has now, since Sector 2, managed to urge 3.3 behind Laura Van den Hengel. So that is, again, being closed down by approximately 1.7 seconds. As he now comes out of La Source through turn 1, and now, flying up through towards Eau Rouge and Rayon, but Laura Van den Hengel doing a stellar job of trying to withstand the pressure. Over the last lap, though, lapping a little bit faster than what she has before, 2:24.158, but it was a 2:23.049 from Goncalo Fernandez over the last lap. You're talking at least a second a lap plus, and on lap 14, nearly a massive 2 seconds gained on the back of Laura van den Hengel. So that just goes to show the pace that Goncalo Fernandez is ripping up and putting together right now.
Another advantage here for Goncalo Fernandez is we know this is a track with multiple, like double-digit overtaking opportunities, which is going to make Laura van den Hengel's job even harder. It is not just sort of defending on a thin, skinny track with not many corners. She's going to have to be on the absolute top of her game, even when Fernandez is right on the back door to keep him out. 5-second penalty for car number 43.
Yeah, 43, Rob Magnoli receiving a 5-second penalty. Less time handicap, did not serve the appropriate time required during the pit stop phase, so he will be slapped with a 5-second time penalty, which will bring Navarrete, who's now ahead of Antoine Burbrick-Martini, into that P9 as well. So very grand opportunities for gains, because he's only 4.5 away from Rob Magnoli at the moment, so that 5 seconds becomes all important. It's now 3.1 between van den Hengel and Fernandez. She needs to dig very deep here, does Laura van den Hengel, as we now ride on board and fly downhill through towards the next right-hander as we now descend. This is Ludovico Longoni, who's obviously partnering Pietro Armani here this weekend, and Armani, who has got plenty of speed underneath him, currently sat 8th place with Davide Scanicchio for company, who was taken over from Fabio Babini. A very audacious look there from Pietro Armani coming through the Campus and Stavolo section. And now through Corbet Paul Frere, a twist of the wheel as he looks to gather the balance. And now down towards Blanchimont once more. 7 minutes and 25 or so to go. It's 1.8 now between van den Hengel and Goncalo Fernandez. It's come down again, and it's a personal best lap as well from Goncalo Fernandez. A 2:22.424. Again, just shy by 0.2 of a second off a 2-second a lap improvement. Here comes now down the inside Pietro Armani past Davide Scanicchio for that 7th place. So Armani on the rise, but needs to really dig deep now if he wants to close to Nathan Braun's, who sits in 6th.
Yeah, that would be one more point as well. 4 points for 7th, 3 points for 8th. Every single one could be absolutely crucial come the end of the championship. Back towards the front though, they're going to be within touching distance towards 6.5 minutes, so 3 laps left. 1 second only. Goncalo Fernandez behind Laura van den Hengel. Well, we have got another dramatic finish coming up. Here's a replay of that inside lane move into the bus stop chicane, perfectly executed by the number 22 Longini alongside Armani in the Porsche. They are in the silver class. That puts them into 6th place and 4th in class currently in the silver too. Now, this is the race we've been talking about. This is what we've been anticipating. This is going to be 6 minutes of either pure defence or potentially heartbreak for the second time in 3 races.
Yeah, definitely a move that could yet. It's going to be a decisive moment here, I'm sure, between these two. Laura van den Hengel, who was unfortunately stripped of the overall race win back at Portimao, coming through the final corner, where she did forfeit that position to Luca Franco and Rodriguez, who went on to take the overall victory. Despite taking the Pro-Am victory, she wanted the overall one. But now she's going to have to dig deep, and she dips into the gravel on the outset of Campus and Stavolo, and coming through Corbet Paul Frere. It's opened the door wide open here for Goncalo Fernandez, who takes the overall race lead now, here with 5 minutes and 20 or so to go, as Paul Meyer watches on with the rest of the HWM Burgers Motorsport team. They sprint down through towards the bus stop chicane, but it's Goncalo Fernandez with the advantage as they now head through the final corner to commence yet another lap. 5 minutes to go, Ewan.
Now, regardless, still, Laura van den Hengel, clear leader in the Pro-Am category. That will put them currently within 1 point of the leaders, Babinho and Scanicchio. So still loads to play for, no lax of concentration whatsoever. And in terms of, we're going to see the take again, there was the 2 left wheels into the gravel. You lose a little bit of speed, and that was game over for the lead of the race. Now, with the overall championship, Zayden and Fernandez currently lying in 7th on 8 points. They didn't score in round 2 at Portimao, so this could jump them massively up the overall championship table.
Yeah, obviously, Laura van den Hengel last time out at Portimao, the first female to win in class. Oh, dearie me, we got a car off. That looks like Davide Scanicchio, if I'm not mistaken. It is. Davide Scanicchio off in the gravel. Half a car is in the gravel anyway, to say the least. And he actually incidentally lost a place not too long ago. As now we see some side-by-side here between Rodriguez and Leandro Martins. That's over 4th place, and Ian Rodriguez up into 4th now, as he just gets past Leandro Martins, who now drops down into that 5th place. And now it looks like Nathan Braun's is going to plumb for a move this time around as well. Down the inside, coming through towards Rivage. Nathan Braun's also looking to jump Martins this time around. And in
Safety
the Q1
car.
track racing car, the safety car does come out onto the circuit. Luckily enough, though, if you're Nathan Braun's, I think you managed to get the move done before the safety car was brought out.
Now, this will probably take us to the end of the race, I imagine. Only 3.5 minutes remaining. I don't know if we'll get another racing lap in, which would mean the gap that Laura van den Hengel had back to 3rd place. Again, it's only silver, but overall, everybody wants a little bit of glory in the overall championship too. It might not make too much difference. If this was 10 minutes ago, that would be a bit of a nightmare. No overtaking under the safety car, please.
Yeah, I was going to double-check then, because it looked like Gillian was looking for that move in the Lamborghini Huracan ST Super Trofeo Evo 2, and fortunately enough decided to back off from it. But great to see so many different manufacturers representing here in this championship. What was only a Porsche sole affair in this series since its very inception. It wasn't only a couple of seasons ago that we witnessed the first of the Murtal Motorsport Ferraris coming in. Oregon entered a Super Trofeo Lamborghini a couple of seasons ago as well, back at Barcelona to end off the season campaign, and now we're seeing Lamborghinis back in the championship once more with Scuderia Villorba Corsa, with Luciano Piviatello, but also Rodrigue Gillen in the Ice Pole Racing Team car, but now also having the McLaren Artura Trophy Evo car as well to boot. I mean, that is extraordinary, going from one manufacturer to then all of a sudden having 4. Is quite a gain, as now we see that moment again where Scanicchio gets caught in the gravel. This was the move for that P4 position. Ian Rodriguez around the outside, coming up through towards Lecom, managing to commit to that overtake with Leandro Martins losing out. And it wouldn't be the only place that Martins would lose, with eventually Nathan Braun's diving up the inside, coming through Rivage, and for Q1 track racing, managing to plumb for some additional points in their quest for their own championship. Of course, they're battling with Leandro Martins over the AM Gold, and that incidentally was the AM lead as well.
So drama right to the very end. Now, we did see the truck there going to collect the car, but unless they are absolutely rapid, it looks like there's no indication yet of safety car coming in.
Race will
there
finish,
is confirmation. Yeah. Race will finish under safety car. So Goncalo Fernandez in the 53, they're going to jump well up the championship table. He, alongside Lars Zanen, a great first into the Porsche 992. And they will take race number 3 win in the 2025 GT Cup Europe. Once again, Laura van Hengel and Paul Myers will take the win in the Pro-Am class. They will move within 1 point of the championship lead in class. That is 2 wins from 3 races and a non-finish in race number 2, of course. Silver in 3rd and 4th overall with Alex Ryman and Ian Rodriguez. And the AM win will go to car number 57. The Nicholas van der Donk and Nathan Braun's Q1 track racing Porsche.
That was a very timely move from Nathan Braun just prior to the safety car to take the victory in AM class. Could have very easily been handed to Leandro Martins, but late in the day, just prior to the safety car, great effort from Nathan Braun. I'm sure Nicholas van der Donk is absolutely thrilled with that. I mean, just wanted to talk as well a little bit about Goncalo Fernandez and, of course, Lars Zanen. Coming into this round after achieving a 4th place back at Portimao in race 1. That was their best finish over that weekend. 8 points after finishing 4th on that occasion. So they're going to be taking maximum points this time in race 1 here in this race. Timer has ticked to 0, so we will be finishing the race on this particular lap. and it will be Fernandez who will cross the start-finish line and take the checkered flag as well. So massive well done to Fernandez. Van den Hengel, yet another Pro-Am victory. That is her second one, along with Paul Meyer, this season. And of course, like I said, the first female to win in class in the GT Cup Europe back at Portimao. That was a history-making moment for her. Obviously still chasing that overall glory, but you get the feeling she's knocking at that door now. They're both knocking at the door at Burgos Motorsport. You get the sense that their time will come and they'll be able to challenge for the top placings.
To add a little bit of frustration, in fact, if the safety car had been one lap earlier, Van den Hengel would still have been in the lead. Yeah,
she would have. Absolutely right. It just so happened to be the case that this is how it worked out. Obviously, that's racing. But great effort from Laura Van den Hengel, great effort from the Burgos Motorsport team. You've got to give them credit as well, because especially after the major smash that saw the car pretty much binned, they had to basically go out and source a new one. Doesn't seem like it's missing a step at all as the checkered flag now comes out. Goncalo Fernandez will come across the line, a winner here this season for the first time in the GT Cup Europe Championship. Laura Van den Hengel comes home in second, but winner in the Pro-Am. Alex Ryman in third as well, a first podium of the season for him, with Ian Rodriguez finishing in fourth place, with Nathan Braun's your AM victor after passing Leandro Martins just prior to the safety car coming out. Navarrete down in Pro-Am second, seventh place as well. Fernando Navarrete, I'm sure, will be absolutely thrilled with that for Mertel Motorsport. And further down, Eugenio Pisani finishing third in Pro-Am as well. In terms of third in AM, that went the way of Franville Bugliotti, who finished in ninth overall. So into Parc Fermé, they will go. Goncalo Fernandez, absolutely delighted with what has been truly a remarkable race. Fought right to the bitter end, was between 1.1 to 2 seconds a lap quicker than eventual second place finisher Laura Van den Hengel. Needed to commit in that final stint in order to pull off this result. And now for the first time this season, they are race winners. Lars Zanen, after starting on the front row, fell back a few places. You can see what it means to Fernandez as well. Absolutely delighted with that result. And Laura Van den Hengel, this will feel very similar to the very first race back at Portimao. They are absolutely delighted. A big podium finish, and you can see what it means to Paul Meyer as well. Laura Van den Hengel, back-to-back race one, P2 finishes, but more importantly, 2 Pro-Am wins as well. Lots of delight here. Goncalo Fernandez celebrating his success with his team as well. There is Alex Ryman coming home in third after that late challenge, just conversing there with Alfredo Filipponi. But a wholesome moment here in Parc Fermé. This is what motorsport's about, Ewan.
It's fantastic, isn't it? It's just nice to sit back and watch. Sometimes all those celebrations between teammates, loved ones, mechanics, everybody absolutely involved. And everybody has a different idea of what success is. Yes, race wins. Yes, Pro-Am wins. Yes, silver wins. Yes, AM wins. Maybe sometimes crossing the line is a win. But everybody, plenty of smiles. And even walking around the paddock for the last couple of days, it's such a joy to be here because everybody seems to be in great spirits.
Certainly do. Let's run you through the results. Was top 3, first of all, Alex Ryman, your P3 sitter, coming home as silver class P3 anyway. Laura Van den Hengel, after a grand effort to try and bring the car home as an overall winner, not only comes second overall, but also first in Pro-Am for the second time this season. But for the first time, it's Goncalo Fernandez who takes the victory after a stellar drive indeed by the team. And I'm sure we'll be having a few words with Alfredo Filipponi now at any moment. But now as they stand by, we will be hearing from our winner.
Gonzalo Fernandez, winner. You did a great last stint. How was it?
First of all, I have to thank everyone that made it possible for me to be here. Either family, sponsors, everything, my girlfriend, everyone that supported me to make this journey possible. And yeah, for the race, it's a dream come true. It's the first time, it's my second race in a European Championship coming out of Portugal. and Lars did an amazing job qualifying P2 with such an amazing lap. He didn't have the start that we wanted, but he kept fighting, he kept in there. We made a good strategy coming in early. I was able to do one good push, one good out. Then we were in a good position, which was just doing consistent laps and getting to the end and overtaking the P1 car. But other than that, we were lucky a bit with the safety car as well. I guess it was just meant to be today.
Good, well done. Good job also from Lars Zanen, but he hasn't arrived because he has to come from the old pits. So maybe we'll see him on the podium. Well done.
Thank you very much.
So there we have it. Obviously celebrations here, ripe. Let's see how they did it. Here are the highlights from race 1 in the GT Cup Europe Championship. It's a great start for Paul Meyer. An unfortunate start for Lars Zanen, of course, the car that would eventually become a race winner, being challenged left, right and centre. The McLaren Artura going for that outside line as well as they stormed through it out to the first corner through towards Eau Rouge and Radion. It was a little mistake there as well, further back from the golden Porsche that was inside that top 3 for a split moment, but did manage to recover back out onto the circuit. Fabio Babini also getting off to a very busy start as well, fighting tooth and nail prior to Davide Scanicchio getting into the seat. We saw a spin as well for the 44, that belonging to H. de Mello, who got caught, unfortunately, coming through the bus stop chicane. Eventually, the pit stops would unfold, and Paul Meyer would leap out of the car for Laura van den Hengel to take the second stint and bring the car home. But it was all down to Goncalo Fernandez, who was then looking to really push his way through the field. Unfortunately for Lando Martins, after a brilliant first stint from Dieter Schweppes, he would come under pressure from the likes of Alex Ryman, who would move up into third. And also by consequence as well, we would later see, of course, Goncalo Fernandez then eventually managed to get Laura van den Hengel after a quick slip coming through the gravel out of Corbeil-Paul Frère. But after the safety car came to an end late in the race, it would be Goncalo Fernandez who would go on to take an impressive first win in the GT Cup Europe Championship. As he said, only a scarce number of times as he raced outside of Portugal. This will be a memory to hold for a long, long time. Here are our results. It's Goncalo Fernandez and Lars Zanen are winners in silver class as well, and overall, obviously. Laura van den Hengel coming home in second with Paul Meyer as well for Burgers Motorsport. We then have Alex Ryman in third, Franca and Rodriguez in fourth, Van Dierendonk and Brawns winning the AM contest ahead of Martins and Schweppes after that crucial overtake in the last dying moments of the race. Canizares and Navarrete finishing in seventh, with Antoine Burbrick Martini in eighth, Franvel Bugliotti and Ampi 3 in 9th, with Rodrigue Gillian down in 10th place as well. 11th place for Pietro Armani, with Giacomo Giabergia down in 12th, Eugenio Pisani 13th. Next up came Riccardo Romagnoli in 14th, Gianluigi Piccioli down in 15th as well, Florentin Sescu in 16th, Stinas Longin in 17th place, Mauro Trentin in 18th, Luciano Priviatelio further down then in 19th, Halsig, and then also further down in 20th, then comes Gianluca Giorgi in 21st, Davide Scanicchio 22nd, Peter Berta 23rd, Simone Patronicola in 24th, H. de Mello, then comes Leo Reinbeek as well. Little reminder as well of how the championship now fares after that race. Ian Rodriguez, Luca Franca, 31 points. They're currently 6 ahead of Ludovico Longoni and Pietro Armani. Paul Meyer, Laura van den Hengel, 24 points now to their name, now 7 in behind our current championship leaders, Lars Zanen and Giancarlo Fernandez. After that victory, now 23 points shared with Leandro Martins. Dieter Schweppes down further back as well, with a little bit of work to do. But nonetheless, podium celebrations now about to unfold, and for Fernandez, I'm sure this will be a wonderful moment. Also for Lars Zanen as well. Impressive fight, despite losing the places they did at the very start of the race. Lars Zanen, whilst he did lose out, Fernandez with a very strong finish to the race. Much delight as well to Laura van den Hengel and Paul Meyer as well. Van den Hengel with a second Pro-Am victory. She'll be back on the podium after this overall one with a step promotion, again, for the second time this season after Portimao. And here are our race winners, Giancarlo Fernandez and Lars Zanen. Our victors here at Spa. Here, Ewan.
Yeah, it's easy to forget the poor start that Zanen had, going from, was it third down to fifth, or second down to fifth overall, but coming back to get the win. Let's hear some national anthem.
Yes, another victory for Q1 Track Racing, adding to yet more honours that they've accrued. Champions in the team's classification every season since 2021. A record that could yet continue with the likes of Lars Zanen and Giancarlo Fernandez pulling together the results that they have done. Welcome back as well, Alex Ryman, with a third place finish for EST1 Racing. He'll be absolutely thrilled with that. GT Sports CEO Jesus Pereira providing the second place trophies to Laura van den Hengel and Paul Meyer after a terrific drive. But the winning trophies being now presented to our winning pairing, Giancarlo Fernandez and Lars Zanen, victorious for the first time this season.
First podium this season too, 2 4th places in Portimao. So a jump to the very top step. And they are fantastic trophies, aren't they?
Yeah, certainly Q1 Track Racing, as they receive the team's trophy as well, be absolutely thrilled with that illustrious performance. That's for sure. Great effort on part of all drivers as we now spray the champagne. Here, of course, various drivers not keen to take part in these proceedings. Obviously, they are aware that they need to use these overalls tomorrow as well. But as the celebrations rumble onwards, big smiles on the face of Laura van den Hengel, especially after the trials and tribulations they faced back at Portimao after crashing out in race 2. Well, this is a welcome reward for them off the back of a stunning P2 finish overall this time around as well. But we still have the Pro-Am podium to proceed with too. And of course, firstly, Laura van den Hengel being the P1 sitter. They also have Fernando Navarrete finishing second on his return back to the series. So yeah, more success going the way of Mertel Motorsport Ferrari. And third going to Eugenio Pisani as well. Grand performance on part of him. And looking ahead now to the remaining races we do have. Of course, we do have another one coming up tomorrow as well. Obviously, Stefano Zerbi lining up alongside him at SP Racing. But first and foremost, they take the third step on the podium. Navarrete will later join them for Mertel, joined with Manuel Canizares. And back onto the podium again, Paul Meyer and Laura van den Hengel, this time for Pro-Am honours after a second place overall Pro-Am win for the second time this season, and holding, I'm sure, a very solid position in pursuit of the Pro-Am Championship. But the trophy presentation now in full swing, already being presented with their trophies are the Pro-Am third places belonging to Eugenio Pisani. Of course, his teammate Stefano Zerbi, second place trophies being presented to Manuel Canizares and Fernando Navarrete. And the Michelin representative presenting Paul Meyer and Laura van den Hengel with their first place trophies from Pro-Am class. And many more to come, no less. Obviously, with the phenomenal pace that Paul Meyer is certainly carrying there, will spray the champagne here on the podium. But that brings an end to our broadcast here in GT Cup Europe. Join us again tomorrow for qualifying 2 in the morning. We'll see you then. Goodbye.